Welcome back to Slothbox. I'm Lyndon Dixon, and as usual, this video is brought to you by the Excelsior Sporting Club. Today, I'm joined again by one of America's top prospects, Ty Tomlin. Ty, how you getting on, mate?
I'm going great. Got a fight coming up July 22nd. Feeling good.
I know, mate. The fight's crazy, but we'll talk about that in a minute. I just want to talk to you. You fought last in January, I believe, against Vittori.
hmm Yeah, I did.
You've had quite a few months to sit on that now. How are you feeling after that time?
I'm feeling really good. I felt I made a lot of improvements in that fight, and I took all those improvements and I've just built on them since then. My defense has gotten so much better. I'm starting to think in the ring. I had that first loss and getting back in the win column. That was really good for me. But not only getting in the win column, getting in the win column in a way that looked good. I went in there and I boxed smart. I didn't just go in there and fight like I had gotten in trouble with in the past. The reason I lost that fight because I was went in there trying to fight and I boxed. I did what I was supposed to do. Went in there and got a win. It felt good.
Mm. When we spoke last time, I think the last time we spoke was March or April, but you said you had a bit of a wrist injury thing going on. How's that healing up now?
Yeah, the wrist is behind me now. Everything's feeling great. I had a really good training camp going in this fight. All the injuries are cleared up, and I'm 100% rolling into my fight coming up this next weekend. So it was nagging there for a little while. Went and got a shot in it. Rested it for a week or two. The hardest part out of all of that was the rest. I hate sitting around not throwing punches, doing that
Mm.
kind of thing, but I'm feeling good now, so that's great.
Well, mate, I think now's the time to talk about that fight next weekend. It's it's a crazy one. It's not one I would have called beforehand. Talk to the people.
Yeah.
Tell us about the fight next weekend.
Yes, Misfits '08 coming to Nashville. And with
Mm.
them coming to Nashville, they reached out to me. They wanted me on the card. So my team said yes. We made it work. Had a couple date changes there for a second. We weren't sure if it was actually going to work out, but everything came together. We're on the card. I'm fighting Abdel Sasuedo. He's 11-3. It's going to be a good one. You got a
Mm.
guy coming in here looking to win, looking to play upset in my hometown. And I'm going to make sure to defend turf, get a win, and roll into the next couple fights. They're going to be really big for me.
Mm. Talk to us a little bit about the format because that's the thing. Misfits, for anyone that knows about it, is primarily influencer,
Yeah.
athletes from other sports, that kind of thing. Talk to us about where you fit into all of that. And also, another question: was it Mams that reached out, and what sort of convinced you to do it?
Yeah, so obviously it's going to be a really big card. There's going to be a lot of eyes on it. It is influencer boxing, which is kind of a little different realm than what I'm used to.
Mm.
I think Mans may reach out to DeBella or our team. I'm not really sure how all the dots got connected on that. I just know that my dad, who's my manager, came to me, told me about it. I thought it'd be a really great opportunity, so I
Mm.
went for it. As far as the format of it all, I wish I was on the telecast on the zone, but it's more of a post slim kind of thing. All the influencer boxers, all their following and everything else, they're going to get the zone broadcast. Then, right when all of that finishes up, there's a couple pro fights afterwards, and I'm the main event on the pro side of the card. So, still going to be a great audience, really good showing. We're trying to talk them into leaving the cameras up and streaming it on YouTube, something of that sort,
Mm.
just because I've had a lot of people pushing to have the fight aired on something. So we'll see if it actually happens. But regardless, I'm going to go in there and handle business and do what I do.
Mm. But the thing is, whether it's streamed or not, or showcased or not, the actual event itself, like in person, it's a
Yeah.
huge event. So in your hometown as well, we say it's going to be a crazy experience. Like I say, whether it's streamed or not. But let's talk a little bit more about your opponent, Sasuedo. It's not just a guy that is going to be put in there for you to just turn over and get out
Mm.
and around. He's 11-3. He's been through the losses. He knows what it takes to win. What do you think to him?
Yeah, I've seen him fight a couple times now. Like you said, he's a guy that goes in there and wins. He's put a lot of guys through a lot of tough rounds. And in at this point in my career, all the advancements that I'm making, as good as I am getting, this is the perfect kind of guy to get in there and test me. 11-3, used to getting his hand raised, and like I said, I know he's coming here to play upset, coming here and get a win. His last fight was a loss, so I know he's itching to get back in the win column as well. But I just have to go in there and do what I'm supposed to do. I think I'm the better fighter. I think I can go in there and outbox him. And I just have to go in there and do that. Like I said, not getting any fights. He's a tough Mexican fighter. I know he's going to want to sit in the inside and bang it out, but I can't let that happen. I got to do what I do, box, be good on my feet, and, just take control of the fight.
Mm.
Instead of letting him do what he wants to do, I have to do what I want to do and take it away from him.
Well, talk to me a little bit about what's next, providing you get through that on next Saturday on the Misfits card. What's next? Because you've through injury and stuff like that, and you've had to wait a little while for this next fight.
Mm-hmm.
What is next for Ty Tomlin after this?
Yeah, I want to bounce right back and get in there again. I want to get this win on Misfits in front of an awesome Nashville crowd. And we've got something big. I can't talk about it 100% just yet. It's supposed to be in Nashville. Lou DiBella was on Twitter. He kind of alluded to it a little bit. It's going to be a big Nashville fight on a big stage.
Mm.
A couple talks of maybe putting the belt into the mix. I don't know what we're going to do on that just yet, but it's going to be a big fight. I've always said I wanted to bring big boxing to Nashville, and as long as I get in there, prove I can beat a guy like Abdel and that put on a great performance, make it look easy. Lou DiBella he's going to bring big boxing to Nashville. I wish I could say more about it. Hopefully we get to announce it after I get in there and get this win. But I'll definitely keep you in the loop on that.
Perfect. Well, let's move on from yourself a little bit and talk about some fights that are coming
Yeah.
up. I mean, I know you're a big boxing fan, so one I know you're looking forward to, Spence Crawford.
Oh,
Everyone I speak to that
finally,
I know, I know.
finally.
Everyone I speak to is on the fence. Please don't be a fence sitter. Tell me how you see the fight going.
I'm just because you said that I'm not going to be on the fence.
Thank you.
I think Earl Spence is a really tough, hard fighter. He's going to be right in front of you the whole time and make you beat him. But I think Terrence Crawford can do that. I think he's the better fighter, I think he can put his punches together a little better. And I think he's got a little more pop on his punches. Earl Spence kind of wears on you and breaks you down and then hurts you. Where a guy like Terrence Crawford, as soon as he decides that when that switch flips for him, he can just take you out of there. I don't know if this fight does end in a knockout of any kind. It's one of those fights that probably goes to the card and is just a beautiful fight all the way through. But if it does happen, I think Terrence Crawford gets his hand raised. He might get that knockout, but at the end of the day, I think he is going to get a decision win. Not going to be on the fence, like you said. As hard as you got two guys that are such high level, it's hard not to be on the fence because you can see that fight going so many different ways. But I'm going to say Crawford gets a decision win. Maybe hurt Spence in the late round, but Spence is a dog, so he's going to stick in there and stick it out.
Well, another thing that I definitely like when I was thinking of what we're going to talk about today, this was one of the first things that came to my mind. I mean, I'm not sure if you've seen it. It's been announced that Tyson Fury's fighting Francis Ngannou. I want to get your thoughts because the Brits on my Twitter, all I see is that people aren't happy with Fury, mainly because he should be boxing, like he should be fighting other the top guys. He calls himself the greatest heavyweight of all time. Or then why don't you reinforce that and fight some of the other top boxers? But from a more neutral point of view, I know you're a boxing fan, but you're over there in the States.
I'm a fight fan too.
Yeah, exactly. Tell me what you're thinking to this whole situation.
Yeah, it's tough because it is such an interesting fight. It's a show, really. It's going to be the biggest show on the planet when it happens. It really is. And I see the dollar signs in those guys' eyes. I know what they want to do. They want to make a ton of money. It's going to be a huge thing for both of them. It's going to help build their brands, help build whatever they're associated with. So I think it's good in that aspect. But like you said, Tyson Fury says he's the baddest heavyweight possibly of all time. And sometimes you got to get in there and prove that. You've got people doubting you with Usyk and other guys like that. You have to get in there and prove everything that you're saying and beat guys like that. Somebody questions you, half the world questions you as far as Usyk goes. Get in there, beat that guy, then go fight Francis and make all that money. Your name's going to be even bigger when you do get into that fight with Ngannou. I do. There's been plenty of time to make the fight happen. I wish they would have got it done before all of this, but who knows? Maybe he'll get in there, beat Ngannou, and then come out and actually make the Usyk fight to possibly end his career on and retire on. I'm not sure. Regardless, though, it is a spectacle, and I'll be tuning in.
Me
So
too. Me too.
they're businessmen at the end of the day. They know what they're doing, and they're going to get my money out of it. I'll pay for that every day. It's going to
Mm.
be a heck of a spectacle for sure.
How do you even see that going? Because it's one of those things like there's no form to go off.
Yeah.
We haven't seen Ngannou box. There's not even sparring footage and stuff like that, really. But he's one of the hardest hitters on the planet, and there's no denying that. How does that go?
See, it's a little different than when Floyd fought McGregor because
Mm,
they are a little smaller, and Floyd's defense is so good that if he doesn't want to get hit, he can probably make that happen. But when you take two just huge guys like that, like don't get me wrong, Tyson Fury is got awesome defense for his size, but who was it? Like Odo Wallen, was that
yeah,
his name?
yeah,
I mean, he landed some really good shots on him, and if Ngannou, as hard as he hits, lands anything like that, you never know what's going to happen. And it's one of those classic heavyweight deals where you're on the edge of your seat the entire time because you're just waiting for one punch the
mm,
entire time. And that's what Ngannou brings to the table. And that's why even in the UFC, he was built up so big because he was just flatlining guys.
mm.
Uh, being in there with guys like Deontay Wilder, I think Tyson Fury has seen power before, but being unorthodox power is from an MMA guy, it's a completely different perspective. Uh, it'll be crazy to watch. I don't know how you train going into that. I
I
guess you
know.
kind of have to train for everything,
Mm,
but it's just an interesting watch all around.
mm. Another fight. This is the last fight prediction. Another fight that's caused a bit of controversy. It's sort of crept up on us. It's Jake Paul against Nate Diaz.
Yeah.
Another one where it's difficult because Jake Paul is sort of, from what you've seen, he's got the boxing basics down. He's not a great boxer. I personally don't think he ever will be, but he's got the basics down, and that's a lot more than most other influencers have done, in my opinion. But Nate Diaz, like, surely he can't beat Nate Diaz. What do you think?
You would think not, but
Mm,
age, father time always plays a really important role in stuff like this. Guys get a little older, they don't have as much of a chin. They
mm,
still have power, but they're a little slower than they used to be. So that could factor into the fight. And with a guy like Diaz, those guys are just I said dogs about Earl Spence earlier. The guys are just dogs. Like
mm,
they're going to get in there, and Jake Paul has never been in there with anybody that's going to be like that to him. Diaz is probably talking shit the whole time,
mm.
really play into it. I know the press conferences for that fight are going to be really entertaining. The whole influencer boxing thing, I'm about to get a taste of it, of course, being on the Misfits
Yeah.
card. But a lot of them don't have the basics down like Jake Paul does, so I will
Mm,
at least give him that. But I think you're going to have the basics plus a pretty good amount of heart to get in there and fight a guy like Nate Diaz.
mm.
Uh, I think he can do it though. Just like I said, with Father Time, I've seen small amounts of sparring footage from Diaz. He looks like he's pretty off balance, throws some
Yeah.
crazy stuff. So if he can catch him on some of those shots, I think he will be able to hurt him since he's gotten a little older. Uh, I I think Paul can pull it out, but like all these influencer fights, you don't know who's going to show up that night. You don't know if Nate Diaz is going to come out there and just dog walk him and try to push him and
Mm,
make it a fight the whole time because that's what Nate is so good at. There's a lot of different perspectives you can look at, but it's fun, man.
mm.
You see, you got Ngannou and Fury, then you got Paul and Diaz.
Yeah.
You're getting all these kind of fantasy matchups that people have thrown together, and they're making them a reality. It's a really cool thing for fans and for the fight game in general because you get a lot of different eyes. You're getting some casual viewers on it. So many different people are tuning in to see these kind of fantasy matchup kind of things,
Mm.
and it's good for the community, I think. And a lot of people have asked me about Misfits too. What do I think about all the influencer boxing? And as long as they're working hard, respecting the sport, and getting in there and giving it their all, I have no problem with it. Same thing with Jake Paul and Nate Diaz. They get in there and put on a show. I'm happy that they're doing it for boxing.
Mm. Well, let's talk to you a little bit more personally about boxing. I've spoke to you quite a few times now, and I've genuinely enjoyed it each time. But I was just
Same as
thinking,
well.
What do you want from boxing? I mean, every boxer wants to be world champion, but when it's all said and done and you're retired and you're doing your other things in life, what do you want to have got from boxing?
Yeah, there's so many. Obviously, you said world titles, things like that. Build your legacy. I want my family to be set up. I'm
Mm,
a big financial guy. I want to be smart with my investments, things like that. I want to get in there, fight as a world champion, build my legacy while also building my financial status, taking care of my family, doing so many other things. Not only taking care of my family, I want to take care of my community. Middle Tennessee has meant so much to me. They always come out and show out on fights and things like that. So I want to give
mm,
back to the community, give back to the youth. And I think that adds to your legacy, not only in
definitely.
the ring, but outside of the ring, helping so many different people. So that's kind of what I want my boxing career to look like. If it turns into any sort of business, any sort of commentary, that kind of thing afterwards, that's great. But I've always been a fighter. I've been a fighter since I was 9. So I want to get in there. I want to fight. I want to win world championships. I'm getting better all the time. And after all that's finished up, I want to give back to all the people that helped me get to that status.
Mm. Mate, that was the perfect answer, but
Well,
just
thank you.
there, you mentioned legacy. This is a little bit more of a less serious question, but what's the dream venue? Because I've asked this quite a few times
Yeah.
now, and it's you think it's a cliche question, but I get a different answer every time. What is your dream venue?
When I first started, it was Bridgestone Arena, and I got to check that one off at like my 5th fight because that's right in downtown Nashville,
Mm,
under the lights. That's where the hockey team plays. There's so many huge events there, so I got that one. I'd love to fight at Nissan Stadium in Nashville. That's where the Titans play, the
mm,
NFL team. Madison Square Garden has probably been on my mind since the first fight that I was in. Me and my dad have talked about Madison Square Gardens a lot. So I think that's probably my dream venue right now. But we were talking about what happens if I win this next fight. Get this next fight off the board. Might not be Madison Square Gardens just yet, but it is another big one that I've been working towards for a long time. So fingers crossed, get in there, handle business. I'm in control of it, so I know I'm gonna do my job, and we'll get to hit another tick off the box there, and hopefully move a step closer towards Madison
mm.
Square Gardens.
Well, mate, when that announcement happens, you're gonna need to be back on, okay? But
Oh,
anyway,
100%. You just let me know, brother. I'm on.
the last question, as always, it's been a bit of a slow start to the year. You've had a win, but you've had an injury, and it's set you back a little bit. But you're back out next week. But where do you see yourself come the end of the year? How many times do you want to be out, and where do you expect to be, especially with this announcement you got coming? Where do you expect to be come the end of 2023?
Yeah, here in the next 6 months, I want 2 fights at least. I want to spend a lot of time in Vegas working on my craft, sparring with guys out there after this fight, getting ready for what I've got next. I want to roll into the next year with 2 great wins under my belt, a year full of winning, put that loss behind me, and getting ready for a big fight. As long as everything goes right in this fight, I'll have another huge one lined up, get another huge win, have all the momentum to go get one of these big fights. And I think I'm really going to turn some heads in my next couple of fights. I'll have a lot of people talking about me.
Mm,
I'm putting all the work in that I need to make that happen. I just have to get in there, capitalize off of it. So once I build that momentum, I do want to capitalize on it and get one of these bigger fights, get one of these bigger names, and kind of thrust myself into the scene at lightweight as a contender.
mm,
It's I've been working for it for a long time. I fixed so many mistakes that I've made. All the things that led up to that loss, I fixed all those, and I'm just ready to get in there and prove that didn't slow me at all. I have gotten that much better, and I am building towards contender status and being one of those guys in the lightweight division.
mm. Well, mate, I've just got this funny feeling. I really do think it's gonna happen. But
Yeah, man, I do too. I'm working my ass off for
I know
sure.
you
So
are. That's
it's
the
gonna
thing.
come.
I see all the time. You're putting the graft in, and that's the only way you're gonna get it at the end of the day. But anyway, it's been a pleasure as usual. I've been Lyndon Dixon. He's been Ty Tomlin, and we will see you on the next one.
Appreciate you, brother.